Good morning, friends. This is Father Tim. It's Friday morning, and we begin our time together this morning with the next portion of our reading of First Kings. We are resuming today at chapter 3, verse 10. So, big picture, well, really big picture, here's all of First and Second Kings. Remember these two books that we treat as two books. As Christians, originally, it was one book. Narrow the big picture in a little bit more. We're in the first 11 chapters, which is the reign of Solomon as king over Israel and Judah, the successor to David. And narrow it in even further. We're in chapters 3 and 4. Solomon asks for wisdom, and all of this is building up to the building of the temple, which will be in chapters 5 and 8. Chapter 3, verse 10. That's where we're starting today. I'll be reading from the left-hand column, which is the complete Jewish Bible, which, being a complete Jewish Bible, a Jewish Bible, period, means that there are moments where things are not going to sound quite like we're accustomed to as Christians. And so when we come across those moments, I will make mention of how we know these things, what we know these things as that sounded different from a Jewish perspective to Christian ears. The right-hand column, you see the text as found in the New Revised Standard Version. Just there basically for comparison. I may make some comparison reference to it at some point. Obviously, I'll be using it to point out the what are the things that sound odd to us. Like, for example, let me start off with one that we have been referring to a number of times lately. Shlomo is Solomon. So, good morning, Francis. Let's pull up our timer and let's read. And let's push this down a little bit. There we go. First Kings, resuming at chapter 3, verse 10. Oh, right. And let me just remind us. So here the king has had a dream, and God has given him the opportunity to ask for whatever his heart desires. And he has asked for discernment, the ability to know the difference between good and bad, so that he might lead this great people for whom God has made him king. Discernment. Oftentimes it's put as wisdom. Wisdom doesn't quite work. I mean, remember at the beginning of this book, when Solomon is made king and David is still alive, David makes note of the wisdom of his son. So, why would he be asking for something that he seemingly already has? At least his father sees it. Discernment, the ability to know the difference between right and wrong. So he's made this request. And we pick up in the midst of that moment of request, and we'll hear God's response. Let's read. That's my sound. How's that? Oh, good, good, good. All good. What Shlomo, Solomon, had said in making this request pleased Adonai. God said to him, because you have made this request, instead of asking long life or riches for yourself, or your enemy's death, but rather asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. Ooh, I like that. There's a difference between discern what is right and discern justice, isn't there? It's subtle. Because you asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. I am doing what you requested. I am giving you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has never been anyone like you, nor will there ever again be anyone like you. I am also giving you what you didn't ask for, riches and honor greater than that of any other king throughout your life. More than that, if you will live according to my ways, obeying my laws and mitzvot like your father David, I will give you a long life. By the way, spoiler alert, it's a low bar, but it wasn't low enough. I mean, David was not perfect. Not even close. David had his blemishes. And and the bar is just be like your father. You don't need to be perfect. Just be like your father. Guess what? The older Solomon gets, the more he walks away from the faithfulness of his father. The more he walks away from the ability to discern, the more he forgets this moment. Verse 15. Shlomo awoke and found it had been a dream. But he went to Jerusalem, stood before the ark of the covenant of Adonai, and offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings. He also made a feast for all his servants. Good morning, Audrey. Now, there's an interesting thing that happens here, friends. You know, there's that line, be careful what you ask for what you ask, because you might need it. The king is asked to know for the ability to discern between right and wrong, the ability to discern justice. Oh, wow. Things get really interesting here, don't they? Verse 16. After this, there came to the king two women who were prostitutes. After presenting themselves to him, one of the women said, My lord, I and this woman live in the same house, and when she was in the house, I gave birth to a baby. 3 days 3 days after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth. We were there together. There was no one else with us in the house except the two of us. During the night, this woman's child died because she rolled over on top of it. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from next to me while your servant was sleeping, and put it in her arms, and she laid her dead child in my arms. When I awoke in the morning to feed my child from my breast, there it was, dead. But when I took a closer look later in the morning, why, it wasn't my son at all, not the one I gave birth to. The other woman broke in, No, the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son. The first one said, No, the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son. This is how they spoke in the presence of the king. Then the king said, This woman says, The living one is my son, your son is the dead one. Well, the other says, No, the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son. Bring me a sword, said the king. They brought a sword to the king. The king said, Cut the living child in two, give half to the one and half to the other. At this, the woman to whom the living child belonged addressed the king because she felt so strongly toward her son. Oh, my lord, give her the living child. You mustn't kill it. But the other one said, It will be neither yours nor mine. Divide it up. Then the king answered, Give the living child to the first woman. Don't kill it, because she is its mother. All Israel heard of the decision the king had made and held the king in awe, for they saw that God's wisdom was in him, enabling him to render justice properly. It's quite a story, isn't it? Chapter 4. We'll start chapter 4. We're not going to get too far into chapter 4, but we'll at least start it. King Shlomo was king over all Israel, and these were his high officials: Azariah, 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 the son of Zadok, the Kohen, the priest; Elihoreph, and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, secretaries; Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, secretary of state; Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, commander of the army; Zadok and Zadok and Abiathar, Kohanim, priests; Azariah, the son of Nathan, chief administrator; Nathan, the priest, the prophet, whom we know better as Nathan; Zavud, the son of Nathan, the king's trusted counselor; Zabud, Akishar, in charge of the palace; Ahishar, Adoniram, the son of Abda, in charge of forced labor. Oh, that next piece gets long, and oh boy, there's lots of names there, aren't there? We're going to pause there, friends. That's enough for this morning. And next time we'll pick up at chapter 4, verse 7. We'll close off this live, and we'll be live again in a few moments with morning prayer. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning, Don and Linda. Good morning, Mom. See you all in a few moments for Matins for morning prayer.